What's the most cringe? I'm not like other girls moment you've ever seen or lived through. Story 1. Anyway, as always, get comfortable and let's get started. When I was in school, we had to make name posters for some teachers. One of my friends was drawing on hers and wrote, "I'm a huge weeboo, so what?" When she showed it to me, I said, "Why did you write that? Nobody has said anything to you just because you like anime." She got mad and didn't speak to me for over a week. Story 2. Just so you get the idea, I'm from Latin America, so watching anime isn't weird at all. Obviously, I wasn't the only one in my class who watched it. My own mom watched Dragon Ball and Naruto as a kid to learn English. The other day I was quietly watching Naruto on Netflix. She sat down with me and really enjoyed it. It was sweet. Once in high school, a teacher asked us to say one word that defined us, and I said elegant. Every time I remember it, I die of secondhand embarrassment. It was such an awkward moment. I don't know what came over me. I guess I wanted to impress my classmates or the teacher, but all I managed to do was make a fool of myself. Now I laugh at myself when I think about it, but back then I felt awful. Story 3. Once a girl from school commented, "So pretty," on one of my Facebook photos, and since I was in my edgy rebel phase, I replied, "I know." I don't know why I did it. Maybe I wanted to seem tough or aloof, but I only made her feel bad and missed the chance to get closer to a classmate. I'm 27 now, and I regret having been so rude and stupid. It makes me sad to think how she must have felt. Story 4. I remember when I was 14, a 16-year-old guy asked me what my fantasy was, and I answered, "Well, I guess most girls would love a Prince Charming on a white horse, but I don't like horses. I'm different from the others." He was actually talking about sexual fantasies, not romantic ones, but I needed him to know I was cool and that I wasn't like those other horse-loving girls. It was a pretty ridiculous situation. Story 5. This is extremely stupid, but I used to think I was super cool and special because I didn't go to Starbucks. I only drank coffee at home once in a blue moon. Truth is, I've always hated coffee, though I pretended to like it for years, basically until I was 25. I genuinely thought it made me different from other girls, since they all love going to Starbucks on dates and for social stuff. Story 6. A friend of mine started dating the most dramatic girl I've ever met. We lived on the 4th floor and always took the elevator. One day, as we were going down to the cafeteria, she suddenly ran to a corner, crouched down, rocked back and forth with her hands on her head, pretending to be terrified. My friend hugged her and told us she had elevator trauma, but that made zero sense. First, she'd been living on the same floor with us for 2 months, and we'd seen her use the elevator normally. Second, if she was really that scared, she would have walked down 4 flights of stairs. Third, her acting was terrible. Of course, a few weeks later she forgot her brand new phobia and went back to acting normal. Story 7. I'm a girl and I work at GameStop here in Germany, so you'd assume I like video games. And these days that's not even special or worth mentioning. But one day a female customer came in, wanted to buy a Call of Duty game, don't remember which one, walked up to the counter with the most serious face and announced to me and my male co-worker, without anyone asking, "Yes, I'm a girl who plays video games. I love playing with my friends." She said it as if it were the rarest, coolest thing in the world. I could barely keep a straight face while my coworker rang her up. We cracked up the moment she left the store. To be fair, back in the 90s, I used to hide the fact that I spent 80% of my free time playing Sonic the Hedgehog games because my friends teased me for liking something so childish. Story 8. I was on a video call with a girl from high school, and she was showing me her collection of taxidermied insects. Out of nowhere, she said, "See? I'm different from other girls." She started laughing at her own joke. I played along, and then she finished with, "Most girls like buying clothes or heels. I like collecting bugs." Turns out the real bug was her. While we dated, she hooked up with half the school. Story 9. I don't know what possessed me, but in 3rd grade we went on a field trip in a rented bus. I had a huge crush on the boy sitting in front of me. His older brother was next to him. We drove past a farm area with animal manure that smelled awful, and they said, "Oh my God, what's that smell?" I tapped their seat and said, "Yeah, sorry, that was me. I hadn't even farted." Then I confessed to 2 or 3 more fake farts and apologized in advance if they smelled them. I have no idea why I did that. I guess it was the only thing I could think of to start a conversation with them. Story 10. A few years ago, I was maid of honor at my best friend's wedding. We were dress shopping, and at one point she said, "The dress I choose has to match my red sneakers. I'm not one of those girls who wears heels. I've always been different." The sales assistant replied, "Actually, after the traditional heel, sneakers are one of the most popular choices among our brides. It's the new trend." My friend genuinely thought she was unique for something she'd seen in movies, and the assistant shut that down with a single sentence. Story 11. In school, I was the typical girl who wanted all the boys to like her. I hated One Direction and told everyone. Since almost everyone else loved them, that made me not like other girls. Same with Justin Bieber. I hated him with a passion and made sure the whole world knew. Story 12. I wasn't like other girls because I loved top hats. For a whole year in my last year of compulsory secondary school, I wore a top hat to school and thought I was the coolest person alive. It makes me laugh now, but God, the cringe. I don't know how I could be that stupid in my final year of high school. Story 13. I'm not like other girls. I'm strong and independent, says my sister, who very justifiably left her husband and 2 weeks later moved in with her 2-year-old daughter and a guy she'd known for 1 week on Tinder. She can't stand being single. Hasn't been for longer than a month since she was 13. And she completely adopts the personality of whatever guy she's dating. She's so blind to her own codependency. Story 14. 7 years ago, I posted on Facebook, "I just burned my tongue on a slice of pizza, and I think it's a great metaphor. Sometimes the things you love most in life hurt you." I wasn't wrong, but I only wrote that kind of deep-sounding stuff to get attention because most girls only posted pictures of their nails and shoes. Story 15. I hated every new trend, song or fashion because it made me feel cool and rebellious. From age 13 to 16, I refused to listen to mainstream music and only listened to weird, obscure stuff nobody knew that I could only find online. Now I listen to some mainstream too, but I don't hide the weird stuff I used to love. It actually shaped my current taste, so it's part of me. Story 16. My neighbor needed help breaking into her son's car. She said she could do it with fishing line. Since I like fishing, I had some braided line and offered it. She took the length she needed and tried to bite it off. I said, "Ma'am, that's braided fishing line." She answered, "Oh no, sweetie, I'm a country girl." I had no idea being born in a rural area gave you the ability to chew through steel wire. Story 17. After watching Charmed for the first time, I thought I was a real witch. This is peak embarrassing. The weirdest high school girl in history. Ultimate cringe. Story 18. I lived through peak early Twitter as a teen. Eating dinner with family? Tell the world. Going to the bathroom and we'll be right back? Announce it. Taking a shower. Better tell everyone. And to seem extra spicy-eyed right, save water, shower with me. I was 11 and had never even kissed anyone. Now I'm a high school teacher, and I realize how childish that age is. I want to go back in time and slap my younger self. Story 19. A girl at university bragged she wasn't like other girls because she could drink like a man. So she challenged a huge guy to a shot contest. People tried to stop her, but she wanted to prove herself. She kept saying she was fine. She passed out, and we had to take her to the hospital with alcohol poisoning. Pretty clear who the fool was that night. Story 20. In high school, I had a friend who tried really hard to be one of the guys. She said it all the time. I didn't realize how ridiculous she looked until I ran into her at a party when we were 20. She walked up to my girlfriend, now fiancé, took her cap, put it on backwards, asked for a drag of her cigarette, even though she doesn't smoke, and started coughing like crazy. Then she gave her a playful punch in the stomach and said again that she was one of the guys. A few of us exchanged awkward looks and slowly backed away. Story 21. When I was about 10, liking Sonic games made me unique in the entire world. Then as a teenager I got into video games, which was apparently the rarest thing ever because every boy treated me like a goddess for having that hobby, not exaggerating. Story 22. As a little girl I loved dolls and dressing up. I spent all my free time playing with them, but once I started school I looked down on the other girls for playing with dolls because I wanted to seem tough and cool. Spoiler, I was neither. For my 10th birthday, my parents teamed up to make me doll furniture. Dad did the woodworking, Mom sewed. They made a beautiful white wardrobe and bed with flower stickers, even a little mirror inside the wardrobe door and a tiny mattress. I almost cried when I opened the gifts because I love them, but my friend was sitting next to me and I was terrified she'd find out I actually love dolls and all my lies would be exposed. So I said, "Thanks, but I don't like dolls. They're for babies." My parents' sad faces are burned into my memory. I'm 25 now and I'm crying while writing this because I still feel horrible 15 years later. A few years ago I got drunk at a family gathering and cried while apologizing to my parents. Story 23. The emo one at the end of 22 was merged. As a teen I wanted to be emo, but my parents wouldn't let me dye my hair or buy new clothes, so I was just an angry, ugly teenager with terrible taste wearing oversized dark men's clothes. The most embarrassing memory, my friend kindly showed me a song she thought I'd like because I always bragged that I liked techno instead of pop. I listened for 5 seconds, mocked it, rolled my eyes and said, "Remind me to show you real music." Then I opened my Nintendo DS, went to Nintendogs and played the contest theme song for her. Story 24. One of my best friends in high school signed up for auto mechanics class, even though she didn't care about cars at all. When I asked why, she said had the fantasy of being that one girl in a class full of guys and schooling them all. First day of class, she was crushed. There were already 3 other girls enrolled. Story 25. Most of my cringe moments happened as a teenager. I thought I was cool because instead of Messenger or MySpace, I was on IRC and played Counter-Strike or Diablo 2 with my friends. I only listened to metal and always wore black with chains. The good thing is that social media was just starting, so almost none of my embarrassing moments are preserved online forever. I still have some weird interests, but I don't reject mainstream stuff anymore either. I think I'm a pretty balanced woman now, and we're all allowed to be a little weird as teens. Story 26. I thought I was better than other girls because I didn't drink or party, and I felt superior to classmates who did. In reality, I was just jealous because nobody ever invited me, probably because I was insufferable. The cringe kills me now. Story 27. As a teen, I played ukulele and sang like the stereotypical hippie. I also tried to get a motorcycle license, but I broke my foot during the course, and now I even refuse to ride as a passenger. Sometimes I want to punch my teenage self in the face. What an idiot. Story 28. I have so many I don't even know where to start. There was a phase where my entire personality was, I listened to metal, because that supposedly made me different and special. I also looked down on other girls for liking pop or the color pink. Now I realize I was just reacting to people constantly focusing on my femininity and crushes, so I rejected anything remotely girly. In my defense, I was about 17.